All right, we're back in the Pratt Pack Gym. We have on the Comcast Sports Line now. He is the fight professor, my good friend Bernie Vukovic, longtime boxing promoter. We're going to look ahead to what is happening not only for Cinco de Mayo between two of Mexico's greatest fighters, Canelo Alvarez and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., but Saturday, Boxing After Dark, HBO, Anthony Joshua, IBF heavyweight champion, taking on the man that held that title for close to a decade, 41-year-old Vladimir Klitschko. And Bernie, I guess we begin by saying 41 years of age as opposed to 27 years of age. Hungry for sure is Joshua, but a lot of experience and always in fighting condition, the former champion from the Ukraine, Vladimir Klitschko.
Yeah, well, sure. Klitschko has 3 times as many knockouts as Joshua has had fights. So he's vastly more experienced, 68 fights total versus 18 for Joshua. So that's the distinction between the two of them. You can't ignore the fact, though, that Klitschko is 41 years old. He's been fighting forever. And as you know, and as most sports people know, as you get older, your skills diminish. That said, he still is possessed of a terrific jab, a hard, straight jab, and a good follow-up right hand, and maybe even a left hook on occasion in a 3-punch combination. But look for that big jab. If he can't get the jab going against Joshua, he's going to have a tough night.
You know, when I think of British fighters, I think of Ricky Hatton of late, and of course Lennox Lewis, who won the gold for Canada. Now, the guy they call the Manchester Hitman, Joshua, has won the gold in 2012 when the games were being held in London. He is beloved, and some say the greatest ever, but he has a lot of real estate ahead of him before I think he can claim that. But what are his physical tools that really give him such potential?
Well, he's a terrific puncher. He's got legitimate one-punch knockout power. Any heavyweight can knock another heavyweight out, but not a lot of them can knock you out with just one punch. Joshua can do that. He outweighed by 10 pounds, 250 to 240 today at the weigh-in, Klitschko. So he's going to be a heavier man, and when you couple that with the fact that he's already a big puncher, and we know that Klitschko's chin, as they say in the sport, is a little chinny. You know, he can be caught, and if he gets caught with that kind of power, it'll be a short night for Klitschko.
You know, there has been a stadium in the northwest of London since 1923. And of course, when you think of Wembley, you think of a lot of things, the 48 Olympics, and Muhammad Ali fighting Henry Cooper and getting knocked on his keister by a pretty good left hook, going on to win that. And he said he was looking at Elizabeth Taylor ringside and he kind of lost his focus. But a great fighter, Muhammad Ali, but a real game fighter and a part of the wonderful history of England, Henry Cooper. But also when they won the World Cup in 1966, Bobby Moore, team captain, there is a statue out in front of the brand new place that, well, since 2007, it has been standing. 90,000 fans will be in attendance. The folks from the UK love their boxing, and I think you'll see that HBO Boxing After Dark tomorrow night at 11 Eastern. That place will be filled, and it will be full of electricity because, let's face it, they know that if their man wins this, Anthony Joshua, he really moves up the ladder as far as heavyweight rankings and, more importantly, a chance to unify the title.
And I think he has a chance to do that, Rob. Klitschko's last fight against Tyson Fury in December, I think it was, of 15, he did not look good in that fight. And as the fight wore on, and it was evident that he was behind on the scorecards, of course you don't see the scorecards, but any astute observer would have commented that he was behind. He did nothing to try to narrow the gap on the scorecards and basically just acquiesced the fight. I think he finally met a fighter in Fury that was bigger than him. So I think Fury's like 6'8" or 9 versus Klitschko's 6'5" or 6'6", whatever he is. And he did not look good. And, I think, boy, he's 41 years old, didn't look good off of his last performance, fighting a kid who's 15, 16 years younger than him, who can knock over a building. I don't know what Klitschko can bring to the party that's going to stand him in good enough stead to win.
Yeah, and being out of the game for 17 months, even though he's been in the gym, that does make a big difference. Now, let's move on to next Saturday, HBO pay-per-view, Golden Boy Productions, another great Mexican fighter, a real hero to me, Oscar De La Hoya, gold medalist. he has really had the Midas touch as well when it comes to being a promoter. This is going to be a good one, but you have to really wonder. 31 years of age, and he's had some issues as far as gaining weight. He's 6'1", and if he's going to be able to withstand the body punching of Canelo Alvarez, although even Ted Arnaud, who I talked to recently about this fight, thinks that Chavez Jr. could actually win this fight at the Mobile T Arena next Saturday night in Las Vegas, HBO pay-per-view.
I don't know. I wouldn't argue with Ted. He's an astute observer of the sport, obviously. But I've never really been impressed with Chavez. I think if his name were Jones, we would have never seen him on TV. He's not a bad fighter. He's just not a great fighter, and he's certainly not his dad. So I think that TV's looking for guys who they can tout because they want viewers. Because they get the viewers, they get the eyeballs, they get the advertisers, and without that, they don't have a business. So I always thought that Chavez was a bit overrated. Now, that said, he is going to have a 4-inch height advantage, as you pointed out. More importantly, he's going to have a 3-inch reach advantage over Alvarez. So, if he gets his jab working against Alvarez, which most fighters haven't been able to do, then he could stay in this fight. I don't think he can win the fight. I've watched him quit in a fight. And he's had some substance abuse problems over the years. His will to train and to be in top shape has been questioned. They're going to fight at 164. I think they'll weigh in, probably make the weight. Although there have been fights he hasn't made weight. I think he'll make the weight, but by fight night he's going to weigh 180, somewhere in that range. We know how they rehydrate. And he's going to be fighting a guy who's 4 inches shorter with a 3-inch reach disadvantage, who spent most of his career fighting at 140 pounds. Last fight or so, he was in the 154-pound range. So he's going to be giving up 20, 25 pounds the night of the fight to a guy who has a little bit of punching ability. So Ted could be right. I mean, Chavez could win the fight. I look for Alvarez to win the fight.
The thing that I really look at as far as the difference in this fight is the lack of footwork, Chavez, as opposed to the very mature and growing 26-year-old boxer who has been in the ring with some of the best, including Floyd Mayweather, and his footwork is really starting to step up and help his game. And let's face it, in the sport of boxing, flat foot as opposed to someone who's got good footwork, I'm going to go with someone who's fleet of foot every time.
Well, sure, because he can fight defensively much better than the other guy. And his footwork, I have read, has really improved in the last 2 or 3 fights. So he's going to need that to stay away from the bigger guy. I mean, the old adage, a good big guy beats a good small guy. But in this case, I think we have a good big guy versus a great small guy.
Bernie Vukovic, former fight promoter, the fight professor, good friend. And yes, we are all awaiting Boxing After Dark, HBO tomorrow, about 11 Eastern. It's the IBF heavyweight title on the line, 90,000 fans at Wembley Stadium. You'll have a lot of electricity. The atmosphere will be wonderful, and you can be sure to be a good power-packed fight between the champion, Anthony Joshua, and the challenger, longtime champ. He is Vladimir Klitschko. And then a week from tomorrow night, Mobile T Arena, Golden Boy Productions, HBO pay-per-view. It is Canelo Alvarez, 48-1-1 against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., 52-1, just in time for Cinco de Mayo. Good night from the Pratte Gym.